uyakwenza nje ube phuka. Yebo, nohlobo nje lomculo olalelayo lenze njani liyakulekelela ukuthi wenze njani uhlupheke. Because kuno umculo nje o-evil. Ongeke nje wenze njani ukusize ngalutho. Kodwa futhi masudle kahle lo mculo nawe nje you become an evil enemy. Uzoyibuza basithi hey into obuyidansa uzoyibuza mina ngidansa kanjalo mina. Kuthiwa nayi ivinto wena ufequza. Akula manje ngizoyikhuluma amaqiniso lapho sesingasipendi isikhathi esiningi entweni ezinjani. Let's talk about 10 principal money rules of financial prosperity. Where's my screen now? Okay. Ngifuna ukuthi masiyithole kahle leyo nkulumo siyobe siqedile. Where is this now? So now that nabantu bebekude sebefikile, okay, sibuye so 10 principal money rules of financial prosperity. So ngicela ukuthi going forward assess ukuthi endlebeni zakho kungenani, because i-information engenayo i-create ama-belief kuphi kwi-system yakho. Impilo siphila based on what? Certain belief systems. Am I right, ne? So try by all means to consume content that is educational. That will help you to be productive. So when we talk about 10 money rules of financial prosperity, number one, it's where you save and invest at least 10% of your income. It is called the pay yourself principle. Pay yourself first. So every income I receive, every increase I receive, I will keep aside how much? 10%. Why 10%? 10% is everything. The numbers we have, emhlabeni zingaki zu-10. So when you keep 10% aside, you've actually set aside the whole sum that will help you to attract more money into your side. Because money is also spiritual. Yes. How do you feel when you get money? How do you feel when you broke? Does it affect the outer or the inner world? All of it. So the first principle of financial prosperity you need to understand: save and invest at least 10% of what? From your income. 10%. That's all is required. Number two, live below your means. In other words, don't act rich. Live below your means. Phila impilo affordwa yini amandla akho. Ngamanye amazwi hamba ngalamandla onayo. Ungaphila impilo yokuplease abantu. Ungaphila impilo of competing, because enye inkinga esinayo. Ama colleagues wakho upgrade izimoto uthi sengisele ngedwa nami ngenze njani? Wena wazi ukuthi banamapha ama sources of income. Abanye banama car allowance. Awenza ukuthi i-affordability be quite easily when ungena nje ishenyameni. So don't live a life of competing with other people. Don't put yourself under unnecessary pressure. Just live your life and be content with what you have at that particular moment, and make sure you enjoy the little you have. Ngoba nye happiness ne unhappiness i-create ukuthi ubuke izinto zabantu. Ongazazi ukuthi basi-alterne kanjani, but uyabuka uzoqhathanisa. Ubuka ingane zabantu uyiqhathanisa nezakho. Mokhuluma nazo wena ukuthi awubuko sibani bani. Yeke ingane zakho zifeyile life lakho nazo zizophinde zenze njani? Ziphumelele. without competing with ezinye. Same thing naselife nasezimalini, phila impilo yakho hamba ngempilo yakho. Kunabantu esithi mawufika uzodayisa ama product isithengwa yonke umuntu ngoba babona oyedwa othengayo ngobe afford. Bonke laba abanye sengenzelani sebeyakweleta. Baka nje uthapha wayo nabo lapho. Awufuni futhi bethini. Wabakweleta futhi kwafika wamabhodwe uyathatha. Kwafika wamakhethini wezenjani uyathatha. Ngalomzuzu bungawadingi kwangena ikholi yefoni yecontract wezenjani uyayivuma. Unayo nje le foni engaringwa yona. Usuthathe another one. Yini ungafuni ukudlulwa izinto. Eyinto eshaya emalini ungafuni ukudlulwa yini izinto. Udecember manje nonke nothengela ingane zenu iintoro za Christmas umasulumane naseyintoro zamashadi namandiya. Who's making money? January nothenga stationery from the same shop. Who's making money? Nge-31 nothenga imfumba zama cricket niqhumisa usuku lodwa niqhuma 1000 liphela ngoJanuary siyothatha iloni. In the name of ungafuna ukusala. Yini mangena kwaqhumisa ulale. Yana lesitini ula sokwasha izitsha lala. Number 3, when it comes to this principle, home payment must be at least 30% from your gross income. Because anything above that will make you to suffocate a little. So in terms of rule of thumb, in property, 30% of your gross income must be set aside for property or bond repayments. You understand that? Why we say 30% is financial advisors? It's because it allows you to breathe. You remember Uguti before COVID, interest rate were very low. Even after COVID, it's low. But from 2021 November, I say you get 10 times. What does that mean? If ever your bond repayment was already above 30% of your gross income, you are already suffocating. You understand what I mean? You know, if bank can approve you for a bond, yeah, 2 million, but you don't have to spend it all. You can take a property at 1.6 million, just to make an example. Okay? You might take a property that fits what you've been approved for, but you take the one that fits what? Your needs or your pockets. When it comes to car installments, that's point number 5. Your car installment must take at least 20 to 25% of what? Of your gross income. So that is the car repayment, the rule of thumb. So because as we see, is umuzi nani nemo. So we must manage lezo zinto. Zibe with spaces jani esiso senza sibe compatible. You know mawuthenga imoto bakithi. Uzithengela bani wena. Nezidingo zawo. Uthi mawuthenga imoto ukuqala ukuthi kambe lamataya. Yabo lamataya malini ukuwashintsha mase ngiwashintsha ne? Oqala ubukele i-fuel consumption. That is the second part. Bese ubuka ukuthi ngabe le moto idingo zomndeni wami izokwazi into kwenze njani ukuzifeza. Ngabe le moto izofika yini la kufika khona iLamborghini. So ngamanye amazwi uma ngiye eJohannesburg manje ngizofika yini? Uyayibona le ndaba? Yeah. Emva kalokho ke you will live comfortably. But it's the problem so no, I want the latest model. Ezongimasaja mangidrive. Bese ivula ini isunroof. Isunroof yani xa ke kunje. Usho moya. Amawindow khona awudingi umoya udinga imali. Yezwa? So ukushaya umoya enkingeni ngoba phela sibinkinga le mawungasa afford. Isini? Ngeke uzwe nalowo moya. Uyojumuka uvule lonke into. Ujulisa yini inkinga zemali. Beyincoma abantu bethi yinhle le moto yakho. Alapha usafuna nokuzwa lokho kudla. Nyanya la. Yezwala. Yeah. So guys, asibhekele lezo zinto. Zizokwazi ukwenza njani? Ukusebenzela. Okay, don't try to impress abantu to an expense yani yephakethe lapho. At least 60% at most must be servicing your debts. So when we talk about debts, we are talking about the whole combination of car repayments, car loans, personal loans, everything. At least maximum 60% must be going towards finishing those things. Because take for instance, if 70% of your income or 80% is going towards paying debts, it means you are working for debts. You understand? And that is the situation I was also in many years ago, when 100% of my income was not enough to repay my monthly credit commitment. 100%. In such a way that I have to wake up around 12 to go to the ATM. Mina, 3 months ngizama ATM, ungabi successful. Ngiyakhumbula ngiye ATM phambi nobusuku, kwakhona amaphoyisa awu2 phambi kwami, siba u6 or 12. Ayithola amaphoyisa imali yawo, mina ngafila selidumela dlule. Okusho ukuthi ngo6 ekseni makuphuma ilanga sekufanele ngibuyele kuphi kumashonisa. Umashonisa engangiyena wangiboleka inyanga eyi1, ngathi hayi wena mtshali ucimeni ujumo la wena. Ngekulungu. Ngagcina ngithola umashonisa bolo wesibhamu waseMayville. Lo nje akusayini lutho alibhali lutho, ukunika imali yakhe nice. Smiling. Maseyifuna. Ubona phakama inqulu la, domtshana. Ufike egqole jacket uthi mawuthi. Lesibhamu. Ngiyahamba phela la. Ngoba ngihambe wazi lezi kweletu usuvele zenze njani? Ziyangistress. You understand? Yabona umashonisa ke masekumele uyokhokha futhi ukhokha kuphi? Isandla. Ukuthi ufika kwakho ungamtholi. Banakho nje ungatholakala inyanga mayiphelile. Ngosuku olulandelayo kungenani interest. Kangakanani lokho? Yabo nje amana. La mashonisa hanga ngisaphila. Angafisa kube ngidubulelele. Kaya ngizomqasha ngisho ukuthi ngiyeze akubemba mbuzi ngizothuma shoti sifobile sasa. Yazi ngambonga uNkulunkulu. Ngangixakekile ngenza wethu. Yazi uxakeka la okwenza ukuthi nomphimbo ube dry ngelanga lomholo. Yazi uxakeka uye ku-ATM uyitshela ukuthi mhlawumbe ukhona u400 ozobusalile mazingidebuni ikweleti. Ungafikwa lutho semthamo uzizwa ubande bangathi ungena ngomkhuhlane. Yabona mama yaseyompilo, ngicela futhi ulalele yonke into engizokufundisa yona ukuze ungayazi. So, if unama credited debts, at least not above. Sometimes we say 50% comfortable, but you must also honor your debt repayments. Ungabaleki. Okay? Number 7. 60-20-20 money rules. Observe 60-20-20 money rules. What is a 60-20-20? It's where you know that 60% is covering my needs. Because there's a difference between the needs and the wants. Make sure that 60% is covering the needs that you have. We could do that. And then 30%, another 20% is going towards your wants. Another 30% is going, 20 actually, forgive my mistake. 20% goes towards what? Your wants. Those your entertainments. Because you must also reward yourself. There are people who say, Richard, Kayi-1 nje makuphela inyanga ngithenga ipizza ngalila ngingole ngalo ngoba mangayithenga ngayo angiphinde ngenze njani ngithenge. You know, your wants are the things you can live without, but at least another 20%. And then another 20% towards your savings and investments. So you can redistribute amongst your investments, like 5% maybe for retirement, another 5% for this, another 10% for keeps. Are we cool with that? Yes. Yeah. But make sure that you also meet your wants. Okay? Serious. No, you need to also meet what? Your wants. The things you can live without, but you need, which is back on, like for entertainment. Okay? So you won't be too serious or boring. So that is another element that I need you to understand. And then, the number of shares or investments in your portfolio that you need. Okay? So, for instance, 100 minus years will give you a percentage of shares or equity or investment you must own. How old are you, my brother? Una 30. 100 minus 30 is 70% of shares that you must own or investments. Okay? So almost strategy as a very was good. Since I'm steady, I'm still need to be aggressive in terms of what? Investments. Unayi nkosikazi. Awuna nkosikazi, yabona ukuthi ithuba lisenze njani? Lisavuma ukuthi ube aggressive. Yabona? Unaba abantwana? Lutho, yabona ukuthi ithuba lenze njani? 70. Yabo una dead. Ana nkosikazi, ana ntombi, ana mfazi, ana mntwana. So akusho uthini? Usese nani? Namandla ukuthi 70% towards kwenze njani? Isimo siyamvuma. Kezwani? Usahlala ekhaya? Uyarent? Uyafunda? Okay. But still, konke lokho kunye okwenzayo usavumela ukuthi u70% uye kwini? Kuma investment. How old are you nje roughly? Wenze isibonelo noma ngasondela nje ungasale kuya ezeni. 60, 100 minus 60, 40% equity that must be owned in terms of what? Investment by now. Sisabamsele bantu basekhaya. Bakuntoni? How many percent ngokwakho? Zibalele wena. 34%. Not too bad. Because the more you get older, the more you minimize your exposure. Yes, right? Ngoba masukhulile udinga eduzana ucash. Ungabi kude. Ucash awuze kuphi? Eduzana. And then let's come to your net wealth probability. Okay? So in net wealth yakho by now, that is a rule number 9. If I'm not mistaken. Rule number 8. Oh, cool. Your net worth right now, this is how you need to be calculating it. Look at your annual notch. Okay? Look at what? Your annual. I'll come back to it. Look at it. Ne? Then you take your age times by your notch, divided by 10. But that must give you how much you must have as your net worth. So when people ask you how is or how much is your net worth, then you'll be able to give them an answer. Let's say your annual pay is 200,000 and you are 40. It means you'll say 40 times 200,000 divided by 10. It will give you what? Your net worth. You are 40 years, you have an annual notch of 200,000. It means your net worth must be at least 800. When we talk of net wealth, we talk about every asset and investment that you own. Do you understand that one? Yeah. So, mawubona ukhona sibonayo ukuthi engisele manje ngento enze kusamele ngiphushe manje. Or ibambe kahle. Good. We still need to catch up. We need more years. I'm not putting pressure, but this is how you should be measuring what? Your net worth. You get it? You don't? Okay, that's cool. So, ngiyabona ke lesengithule ngaye niyacalculate la kodwa ngiyabona ukuthi hey, we need to catch up. Now, if you've done a whole lot of things, that's all good and fine. I ask different types of investment, but if you own those types collectively, it will actually improve and take you there. And the number 9, have at least 6 months savings. You know, if your income is 10,000, just to make it simple, you must have at least 60,000 set up for emergency. Something that can keep you going for the next 6 months without suffering. Are we clear on that one? Yes. Yeah. So, you must at least have 3 to 6 months emergency fund. Because there are things that actually happen. Singers prepare and zidinga ini imali. So that's another element that we need to follow through. At least 3 to 6 months of our income. So if you are earning 5,000, how much you must have? 30. Actually, engineering is next. Yeah. Yeah. You won't make that overnight, obviously, but you are working towards it. And then the last part, or the last point, is time value of money. Because of compound interest, you need to understand that time is money. In other words, it's about how much time your money will spend invested. Okay? Let's make an example here. If you buy a 500,000 property and pay it for 20 years, that will be time value money for the bank. Because after 20 years, you will have paid double and a half. That is what? Compound interest working against you. So you need to understand that you also need to value time over money. Because people are actually, when they look for money, they look for something quick without investing time. Financial growth lies in the time invested. For someone who started investing 500 grand 20 years ago, that person is financially ahead of you if you haven't started. Because of what? Time. Are we clear on that one? Yes. So, you also need to value time over money and then experience life. The last point is that don't be obsessed about money. Just work and make some money and save some money and invest some and make sure you enjoy some. So when I'm talking about enjoying money, have some good experience and memories. Abantu babicabanga enjoy imali bacabanga ukuphuza. Lapho nje ngithe asiphuzi singenama shares kulezo iphuzo. Ngakubona nje ethaveni. Ngiyaphila. Ngithini? Phuma. Ngakubona eklabhini ngithini? Awubelonga. Onama shares amophuza amanzi. Lento iyekele kubani? Kwaba nama shares. ngicabanga ukuthi sisabamsene kulelo daba. So those are the 10 keys ebengifuna ukuthi nje sizibambe nezibalulekile. Ngiyazi ukuthi amongst 10 there must be one you can utilize. Khona vele engithe mase ngiyala ko number 7 baqala bangireject. Ambazulelo nje bethi hayi 6 months of what? Hayi. Athi mina your net worth must be this. Abantu hayi umtshala. Hayi la ithembi uvela khona. Zobuye ngithini. But kukhona kodwa ozokubamba ubone ukuthi kungakusebenzela. Kukhona ne? Perfect. Ngiyabonga sibungu. Asibuyele